Hey yo, what is up guys, this is your boy Twa here. Today I'll be showing you guys a video on a goal of mine that I set to have at least 4 characters on tier 3 within the first 4 weeks of Lost Ark, and I will be showing some strategies that I'll be using that you might want to incorporate onto your own account for your own benefit. So the reason why I went out on this journey was very simple. 1, I have a lot of time on my hands. 2, I could not find myself my main character yet because it's not out. That will be Reaper, and to prepare for that it would be better to have as much money as possible. And the question would then be, how can you generate as much money as possible? Because when I go to the marketplace and then press, let's say, Guardian Stone for instance, which is a tier 3 upgrading material, you will see an exponential increase when it comes to the Guardian tier 2 stones in contrast to the Guardian tier 3 stones, because it's literally almost 4 times the price of what you usually have, which means that once you get all of those characters up to tier 3, they will generate so much more money. So in that case, more money would equal more preparation for my Reaper when it comes out. But how do I do this? Starting off with my lineup, and my lineup is a gunslinger main. Reason why she's super fast, got to tier 3 quite insane, even with me not having a lot of knowledge that most of the Korean veterans even have. The next up is a Deathblade, personal favorite of mine because I played it in both the Korean and the Russian server. A striker because, well, striker is just awesome anyway. And I decided to go for Scrapper because I played this class, fell in love with it, and I might actually consider maining this one. Starting off with the very basics of increasing your alt character, because once you go press Ctrl 1, go to the lab, and in my case acquire research, go all the way down, there is a roster tier help, and this unlocks once you hit your first character to tier 2, which is the 802. And once you have completed tier 3, 1302 eye level, the second one will increase. Now what does it do? It simply increases your success chance of upgrading your previous tier by 20%, which is an insane rate. And also the amount of XP required for honing will become less, so the overall materials that you use will become way less. But then the question is, where do you get these resources, because you don't necessarily want to spend gold, and me being a free-to-play player had to find ways to get as much as possible. So what I ended up doing is I checked all of the vendors for any benefits. So I came up with this one, and it basically shows you pyro coins for materials. And the fun part about it is the destruction stones and the guardian stones, they are tradable. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, tradable to everything, but also within your roster. And if you would look at the tier 1 ones, if you have enough pyro coins, which are easily achieved within the game by just doing your Una tasks, you will be able to get a lot of guardian stones to increase. The fun part about this is really, if I buy these guardian stones for instance for about 4.5k, it says 5 days until your limit resets. But once I then go to my gunslinger and check the store once again, suddenly there are even more guardian stones. So these are character specific and you can still trade them. So as long as you have a lot of pyro coins, you will be able to buy a ridiculous amount of stones. The only thing that is untradeable are the harmony shards, so you can unfortunately not trade those. But the real question is, where do you get all of these pyro coins? Once you press Alt J, go to the reputation status, you will find yourself quests that you have to do continuously each and every single day to acquire yourself some pyro coins. And there's obviously some top tier ones, but one that I really do enjoy is the Blue Marlin Pato one, because that way you have to go from A to B. It takes a little bit of time, but the amount of rewards that you get are ridiculous, as well as you can get yourself a swiftness potion, and even though it's just 4 points, I would definitely like this one. This is also a quest that is needed to get yourself the Pato Island token, so it definitely gave me some incentive to do it. But one of the best ones that I would like to recommend is the one on Hypnos, and that is playing by the pirate rules. And the fun part about this is this will also grant you leap stones, which is a very valuable thing when it comes to upgrading your characters. And once you check all of the pyro coins that you can acquire by doing these things on a daily basis, is quite ridiculous. Next one up is catching the criminals. So once again, magnifying glasses, crew catch. I can simply accept this, and as you guys can see, it gives you pyro coins, an island soul, which is quite necessary if you want to get that first 20 in for your skill potion. Get yourself more pirate coins and more pirate coins. And then there's another one where you can acquire another boat, and this one is on Pato as well, and that is Ride Like the Wind. It is fast sailing sprint Eurus, and once again, ridiculous amount of pirate coins that will grant you the ability to fully buy the whole store to increase all of your alt characters. And then some other practical matters. The Exchange Chaos Dungeon Shard contains a lot of these materials as well. And there's a unique gimmick to this, because the Guardian Shards, funny enough, are bound to roster on pickup. Why not use your highest character, tier 3, to plow through the dungeons, because my gunslinger is by far the fastest when it comes to this content. This comes, however, with a downside, and that is whenever you kill a boss on the second wave, you can get yourself a gate. And this is also the point where if you get yourself a normal gate, do nothing. If you get yourself a gold gate, great, you get some extra items. If you get yourself a red gate, that's even greater. However, the items that you get from here are Moon's Breath, and these are used to increase the chances of success on your overall gear, which means that it would be a waste to do this on your tier 3 character, but I would recommend doing this on your highest tier 2 character so you can get the maximum benefit of the Moon's Breath. This is also the point, stop hitting me, to then have one character at the absolute maximum to boost up the rest of your character. Because these Moon's Breath will make sure that you get from that tedious point of, let's say, 1070 to, let's say, 1100 with just acquiring more Moon's Breath than you ever thought possible. Another strategy that I want to incorporate for my last week is to use my highest character to boost up, let's say, my scrapper. And the reason why I do this is very simple. It's not necessarily because the item acquisition becomes better after you gain a certain item level, no, but the reason is that after 1050 there is going to be some failure rate, and to get past this, there's a simple trick. The resources that I currently spend going from my Death Blade to my scrapper will then accumulate one thing that might help you out. And this is obviously a luck factor, but you will find yourself elite cube tickets, and the question is, why is this good? Because if I go to the elite cube ticket and then check the elite cube ticket, there is once again Moon's Breath. That means the time that I'm increasing my scrapper using all of the resources from my Death Blade will then have the chance to acquire me more Moon's Breath in the process, saving me gold. And then in the process, once I use my scrapper to then maximize my Death Blade, it will then have a more success rate, aka I lose less materials if they fail. That would be able to increase me even further, but at the end of the day, it's still a luck game. So for a too long didn't read, I get this character to 1050, then use every resources that I have both on my striker to get my scrapper up, get more resources in the process. Then once I feel comfortable with my Death Blade, depending on how many cube tickets I have, and this can already be like played back and forth. If one of these have more Moon's Breath, I can obviously then use the resources to then increase that certain character to get a 100% success rate. So there are ways to shift this around to say like who is going to be at the tier 3 first. Now the moment I get to tier 3 is the moment I then use my gold to increase the rest of my characters, because you have because at this point there is one big problem, and that is one limitation that will cost you a lot of gold, and that will be your life shards. And technically these things are very costly. However, this is once again where your main character comes in. If I double check all of these destruction stones and then search the market and find myself a ridiculous amount anyway, I can simply say, oh, the average day price is about 63, and I don't necessarily have to sell them straight away, but I can get myself 1,000 gold, ladies and gentlemen, for nothing. I've done nothing to really do this, and that means that the more characters that I have into tier 3 will allow me to get more gold to then buy resources to get other characters tier 3 once again, which then generate even more gold. You see the cycle over here? It is that plain and simple. So in that case, you can check yourself some life shard pouches, and obviously they are pretty costly, but in a certain sense you will be able to buy your way out of the problem. And that is not even talking about the crystals that you can use in the Mari shop, because these will also contain the life shards that you need. But one thing I forgot to mention, and that is probably the best way to increase your alts, and that would be the tower. If you have done yourself your Fade Spire onto your main account, you will see a ridiculous amount of items that you can use to increase your alts. So make sure to never skip out on these. That being said, it's currently the 8th, which is technically a month. There's 2 days out of February that got taken away. I did not get to the tier 3 on all these characters. However, if I would have, let's say, take this Holy Knight also to tier 1 and made another alt, there would be no question in my head that this is possible, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is obviously just part of the theory and I haven't achieved it myself, but I do believe that this is definitely possible because I didn't even min-max everything from the start, which means that if you are a newer player, having yourself 4 characters at tier 3 is absolutely attainable, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolutely attainable. That being said, if you guys found this video helpful, make sure to like and sub if you haven't already. I'm streaming daily on my Twitch, so check that out. If you want to, feel free to drop in, have a chat with me. If you have any questions, put it down into the comments, let me know, and I'll see you guys into the next one. Peace.